The photographers who have been honored and have been inducted into this Hall of Fame, I really consider them to be artists. They are certainly very skilled in what they have done, and Jack Zert, who was with the first induction class and who is a freelance photographer now, although he's about 90 years old, lives not too far from here in West St. Louis County. And a couple of times I talked about taking a picture, and he scolded me on a number of occasions. He said, "You don't take a picture, you make a picture."
During a career that has spanned more than 4 decades, photojournalist Bill Eppridge has covered a remarkable assortment of stories. He won the National Press Photographers Award, first prize pictorial for a picture of a lone white horse under a tornadic sky. His collective assignments read like a list of the most important historical and cultural events from the latter half of the 20th century. The Beatles' momentous visit to the United States, Woodstock, Vietnam, civil rights struggles in the South, celebrities such as Barbra Streisand and Clint Eastwood, and his landmark photo essay on Needle Park heroin addiction that inspired the motion picture Panic in Needle Park, starring Al Pacino.
Among the things that I have to tell you that I left, along with maybe a few memories from there, the Missouri River has one of my lenses. I was photographing the building of the Rocheport Bridge, which was a long time ago, and I remember I'm climbing up there in the girders over top of the river, and I lost a Leica lens. And the other thing I left here, I'll never forget, we talk about trying to achieve perfection. It was the 50 great pictures of the past 50 years. It was a 16 by 20 gorgeous print. Just incredible print, probably worth $30,000, $40,000 today, something like that. Cliff had it. He said, "Mount it." Okay, I put the stuff on the back. In mounting it, I put a crease in that thing. And I have never forgotten that. And I've never forgiven myself. And someday I'll make it up.
James A. Finley served as a staff photographer for the Associated Press for more than 25 years in the AP St. Louis Bureau. Finley fell in love with photography at an early age while sneaking out to make pictures with his uncle's camera. While covering a cargo plane crash along I-70 in the dead of winter, with his hands swollen from the bitter cold, Waters passed his film to Finley and said, "I'm done." He traveled the country and the world covering major stories and sporting events, including more than a dozen Super Bowls, the Olympics in Sydney, the Midwest floods, Hurricane Katrina, national political conventions, and numerous World Series.
My relationship in Missouri with some of the people here started when we used to drive over. Fred and I would come over to cover Missouri football. Those were the days, and you photographers remember when it was black and white only, and we would roll into the Columbia Tribune, and Fred would let us, he let me shoot 15 minutes of a football game and say, hey, let's go. But we never missed. We were always able to produce that storytelling, game-telling photograph that meant so much to our memory newspapers.
Ival Lawhon Jr. was a staff photographer for the St. Joseph News Press for more than 31 years. He was a sterling example of being a local journalist who was committed to his community. He was a spot news junkie who often beat the fire department to the scene, and he knew each fireman working the fire by name. I had the honor of delivering one of the eulogies at Ival's funeral last month. And I learned from other speakers that Ival was named an honorary member of the St. Joseph Fire Department and was a nationally recognized collector of military insignia.
He was a man that had fallen in love with photography at an early age, and he had a photo published many years after that he'd taken when he was 12 years old. He worked for the St. Joe News Press for 31 years, documenting lives and interesting people, animals, and birds. He always felt he was a lucky man and said not many people could have their hobby as a job.